Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and for years now, I have been telling everyone who would listen that value drafting is the best way to grow your collection from a budget perspective. But I really hadn't done much to back up that assessment or go beyond it. So today we're going to start changing that and start taking our value drafting to the next level. So stay tuned. But before we get into all that, I am super excited at the prospect of getting to 500 subs because that is going to allow me to do a lot of really cool community building stuff for y'all over on EtherHub. So take just a moment, do all those YouTube things to support the channel, and I won't have to be awkward about it. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. Before we get deeply nerdy, allow me to take just a moment and cover the basics, because at its root, value drafting is about your pick order. In short, you need to put your collection before this draft. You want to be looking at a long-term perspective. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say value draft strategy, you probably want to go over to my basics playlist and make sure you check out Quick Draft Value Strategy. It's going to give you the basic ideas of how your pick orders allow you to maximize your card value in every single quick draft that you do. Okay, great. Glad you're back. We are the value draft. Resistance is futile. And now that we've got the basics out of the way, what do you say we jump into those new strategies and techniques that will help you become a better value drafter? So first off, if you're not using an artificial intelligence to help you with your drafting, why the heck not, man? You're living in the past. Personally, I use and highly recommend MtG Assistant. And no, I don't get anything other than the warm, fuzzy feeling of knowing I improved your arena experience for having said that. This isn't a sponsored video. I don't make anything out of it one way or the other, but I do think you should be using it. Wait, what's that? You didn't catch that web address super quick? That's okay. Matt would want you to know that the links are down in the doobly-doo. Now, if you've been around the channel for the last year or so and have played in any of the Phantom Draft Midweek Magic events, you know about bread, because I've been trying to talk to you guys about this for quite a while. Bread is the basis for your limited environments as well as most dietary systems around the world. If for some reason you aren't familiar, it stands for bombs, removal, evasion, aggro, and finally dirt, which is a polite way of saying all the shit you shouldn't be putting in your deck. But bread is really just the beginning, and if you ask some pro players, they would tell you it's really kind of simplistic and a little outdated. Ironically, the new replacement for the bread concept is keto. Yeah, I know, you can't make this shit up. Literally keto, the difference in zero carbs. Anyway, keto, it's about your kill spells, but not just any kill spells. You want to be focused on your premium removal. And as you draft an environment, you will begin to understand the difference between removal and your premium removal. Next up, in E, you have your efficient creatures. Really kind of the same thing as what Bread was talking about. This is where you've got your above rate creatures, your evasive creatures, things like that. Next up, of course, is our top end bombs. And you see, this is slid way down the pick order to better reflect the current limited environments. And then lastly, you've got that generic other category, which really LSV, who developed this, Louis Scott Varga, for those of you not in the know, this is where he is putting all of the formerly referred to as aggro creatures, and he doesn't even talk about all that shit you shouldn't even be putting in your deck. Whether it's bread or keto, those are really pick order strategies for our brethren who are out there with the sole intention of winning the draft. We, as value drafters, kind of lean on that too, but first and foremost, we're here to build our collection, not just our win rate. So oftentimes we are first picking those rares and mythics. In fact, really all the time, you should take a rare or mythic when you're drafting for value because it's the hardest type of cards to get into your collection and the ones that are going to be hardest to replace if you don't take them now. So the difference and the thing that a lot of people don't understand about value drafting is just because you first pick a rare or mythic or you take a rare or mythic later in the draft doesn't mean you have to play with that card, and you certainly don't have to build your deck around whatever card you picked first. And the sooner you get over that mental hurdle, the faster your ability to effectively value draft and win will start going up. Next up, we need to talk about some potentially bad habits that you may have brought with you from IRL Magic. You see, when you show up to Friday Night Magic and you do a draft, you're sitting around a table with 8 real people making that draft. Hopefully not these particular people, but that's another issue. You see, things like intentionally taking a card so one of your opponents doesn't have it has some validity in an IRL draft. Trying to read the signals of what's open in a pack and going to the open color has a lot of validity in an IRL Magic game. And to a lesser degree, those premium draft events on Arena as well, because there you're drafting against real people. Reading between the lines here, when you're doing a quick draft, whether you know this or not, you are in fact drafting against a pre-programmed robot that is making all the other picks based on a preset program. They're not reading signals, they're not taking cards because they don't want you to have them. And the reality is, you're not going to play any of those robots or the decks that they drafted. You're going to play against other people just like you who drafted against a completely different set of robots. So the short version here is hate drafting and reading signals are very rarely valid when it comes to our quick drafts. Next up, all of the very best limited players out there will tell you that you need to know every single common and uncommon instant speed in that format. But most of these guys are pro Magic players, and I don't know about you, but I don't spend the majority of my productive time playing and thinking about Magic. Even as a content creator, that just isn't my reality. And it's probably not yours either. But I do think there's some validity to the point. And you will learn all of those common and uncommon instants over the course of playing in the limited environment. But to give yourself a good head start before you enter into even your very first draft or sealed of a new limited environment, you should take a few minutes and learn all of the combat tricks that are available in those environments. Primarily how they affect combat, the colors that they play in, as well as the casting costs. That way, when you push into the red zone or your opponent pushes into the red zone, you know everything that could possibly happen. Because the worst thing that can happen, the most impactful thing negatively on both your play experience and your win record is getting blown out by a combat trick in the end zone. And now we get to the area in which I believe I most need to improve, and that is mana fixing in my limited drafts. More and more frequently, I have found myself lately getting drawn into wonky three color piles that just really have a hard time coming together and not getting completely mana screwed in the event. And that's no fun at all. And really, you don't learn anything about the environment. You just made a terrible deck from a mana perspective. Moving forward, I plan on looking for an opportunity in each pack to devote one of my picks to mana fixing. Primarily, that's going to be once I get past my rares and uncommon picks. But I really think this is going to have a very positive impact on my drafting and win records. And I would not be surprised at all if you had similar results. And as I prepare to step away from the podium today, I am reminded that very often in my videos you will hear me quote generalizations and advice. Things like bodies are better because, well, your limited deck probably needs 3 creatures for every spell that it runs. Similarly, you will hear me say things like, just shut up and take the best card that the AI recommends, because more often than not, that's going to be the right choice. But more than anything else, the best advice I can give for people that are looking to improve their drafting and limited play comes down to 3 words: practice, practice, practice. I can't tell you how often I hear people say, oh, I don't draft because I'm not good at it. Well, brothers and sisters, let me tell you, if you don't practice, if you don't draft, you're never going to get good at it. You're not going to go to sleep one night and suddenly learn how to draft. You've just got to get in there and do it. You got to be willing to make mistakes. And eventually, you will learn everything you need to know. And the reality is that the benefits far outweigh the time and effort that it will take you, even the frustration from those occasional bad drafts, because honestly, those are the ones that teach us the most. And with all that having been said, don't forget, smash that like button like Ronnie J would. And no matter where in the world you are watching this from, I hope you have a magical day. And until next time, I'll see you in the arena.